then you can edit out whatever you want, okay? Ready?
Oh, I'm gonna do it.
You're gonna get in 5, 4, 3, 2.
And I'm pressing the button this week. And we are live. We're filming on Tuesday, the 27th. And let's just jump right into it. We got no NBA games because it's the off season. But we do have some breaking news. Not breaking news, but I thought it was kind of funny that Danny Green said that the season starts in late December. He can see the veterans on the team sitting out, like Bron, AD, and Dwight, cats like that. That's interesting because I feel like LeBron's definitely not going to give up games, especially like in the West where everything means so much because you have so many teams that are just full of killers. So I don't feel like LeBron's willing to sacrifice games. I think he'll just go out there and sacrifice his body. That's funny. But yeah, I don't know. Danny Green may have a point, but I disagree. And on to the NFL. We're going to start with the Saints and Panthers. The Saints won, but they didn't impress me. They had a big lead, 10-plus points, blew that, only won by 3 off a last-second field goal. Even though Michael Thomas was out due to a hamstring injury, but I think there was also like some sort of dilemma with the team doctor. So that's something to keep an eye out on. But yeah, Saints won. They have an easy schedule, and they're just not – I think they're playing down to their competition, or maybe that's just who they are. I guess we'll find out later into the season. So Green Bay was dominant. Rodgers had one bad game versus Tampa where he threw a lot of interceptions, and then he came back versus Houston, and like I said, they killed them. Rodgers shined. I think Devontae Adams proved why he's the number one option in Green Bay because he had 198 yards and 3 touchdowns, which is great for him. That's a career game. I think Houston's going to blow it up because they're going to keep Watson, of course, but they got to blow it up because they don't have any options for him to throw the ball to. They don't have anybody blocking for him. They have no running backs. I think they're regretting giving away all those picks because they need those young bodies. They need those young players, but I think they're going to make some moves soon. And, the Chargers finally win versus Jacksonville. Herbert gets his first career dub. You know, he was a guy that had a lot of question marks coming out of Oregon. And he's really shined since Tyrod got hurt in a flawed team doctor incident. But Herbert's on fire, man. I think he had 4 touchdowns in that game. I think he's a part of the flavor for 5. I think he's going to have a great game. But Herbert's killing it. I'm very happy for the Chargers. They got their guy immediately after Phillip Rivers leaves. So there's usually like this delay with teams that have a great quarterback leave. And I feel like the Chargers addressed it fast and early, and it's going to pay off for them in the long run. The Patriots suck. Cam's not very good this year, which is not good at all for them because they are one-dimensional. The Patriots can only run the ball, and when that's getting stopped, they don't have options on the outside to help Cam. N'Keal Harry was a first-round receiver that nobody expected them to take. They took him, and he hasn't worked out. He's either been injured or he's making bad decisions, which is why Brady didn't like playing with him. I think they definitely need to make a trade. I saw something today on the NFL app for a trade for A.J. Green for a third-round pick. I think that would be great because A.J. Green's finally healthy, and they're underutilizing him in Cincy. He said that he's wanted out. Not publicly, but, you know, everybody saw him on the sideline, and he said, just trade me. And, I feel like that would be a great fit. I feel like A.J. Green and Cam Newton would get along, and that's something that they need to consider. Trash Can Cisco did not impress me, but they are getting healthier. You know, they beat the Patriots, who aren't very good. They're good at beating bad teams. They're not good at winning versus great teams. And I think they're just going to be a regular team this year. Might win 6. They're going to win like 6 to 9 games, but nothing to be impressed about. They're definitely regressing from last year. But they are getting healthier. And next year, I think they come back a lot better. Arizona versus Seattle could possibly shape up to be the game of the year. Somebody said this morning that there was too many mistakes to be a classic, but I think when you have that many mistakes, Jesus Christ. Yes? I told you that I was filming. I didn't adjust this in the beginning, but I'm in Jacksonville this week visiting my dad. That's why there's no Mark and Carlos. We have a Hallie, and Anthony, and a Caitlin this week. So that's who counted me in. I did the intro just on an old video. Look. And that was last week's with Mike. Yeah, so this is definitely undesirable conditions. I told Dad I was going to be filming for like 45 minutes. What's my time looking like right now?
5:23.
5:22. That's great. Carlos usually keeps time for me and lets me know on like a tablet.
Carlos?
That's my producer.
Well, I can start one.
No, it's good. It's on
5
there.
minutes off.
As long as I don't want to go over like a certain 45 minutes, I guess. Because last week was a long one. I hate that they have to see this, but yeah, we're gonna wait for Dad to just leave.
Are you filming?
Yeah, Dad. Now I gotta put that this is censored and not for kids.
Censored.
This
You're not getting monetized.
not getting
Demonetized.
monetized.
That's tough.
There's a 45-year-old man rubbing his nipples in my podcast.
8:45. Nice.
So I just gave him a rough estimate.
I remember that one year that Taylor Swift's 22 came out. We were at the dinner table and you were like, I don't know about you. My dad just
Yeah, he wasn't even 42 at the time.
But like,
Wait,
that's
we were 13.
core
Yeah,
memory.
no, he was. He was turning 42. And you guys came to the house.
That was a core memory.
And we sang, I don't know about you, but my dad just turned 42. It was cute. We were 13
Love
and
you.
funny. I hope somebody does a fact check that. But I really believe that was it. What?
It's in the main
Guys, I'm
page.
filming.
Well, you can just cut us out.
No, a podcast is supposed to run straight through. You don't edit a podcast.
But nobody would know.
Have you ever seen a Twitch Patreon's video?
Yeah, what are we talking Can I get back to the NFL,
Yes.
please? Oh my God. This is great.
And action.
Okay, and Arizona and Seattle's probably going to shape up. This guy's
No, I'm not gonna
learning
say
about
that.
glycology and stuff like that.
This is adorable.
Is it me?
No,
It's gonna be like a walrus.
it's a baby.
Dude, he's like shocked at this experiment.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, Arizona and Seattle could shape up to be the game of the year. Somebody on NFL said that there was too many mistakes for it to be a classic, but that means that both the offenses and defenses played well. So I don't really know what that was supposed to mean. I think that everybody's kind of way like expecting like 100-point games, 100-plus point games in order for it to be considered awesome. I think that 70-ish point game that they had, probably going to be game of the year. It was great to watch. Russell Wilson made a lot of mistakes. I don't think he makes those mistakes again because he's Russell Wilson. Like I said last week, this could have been the game that they lost. That I said it that Arizona could do it, and they did it. So I'm not even shocked. Russell Wilson's going to learn and get better. The Seahawks are going to learn and get better. They need to find a pass rush. But the game of the year, in my opinion. Let's move on. The Giants should be atop the NFC least, but Philly, man. They stick around long enough to be able to make plays at the end of games to win. And I think that's, I guess, a recipe because it's working. But right now it's Washington atop the NFC least, followed by Philly, then Dallas, then the Giants. But if the Giants would have beat Philly, they'd have been in second place. Steelers are still undefeated. They beat the Titans, but I put that they're not a top 5 team because they fell apart in the second half, but in my top 10 NFL teams, they're number 5. So they're not a top 4 team, I guess, because I want to talk shit today. The Titans, in my opinion, got a moral W. Gostkowski's supposed to hit that field goal. They're supposed to go into overtime and win that game. The reality is that didn't happen. So they fell. Their O is gone. I expected them to be one of the only undefeated teams left this week, and now it belongs to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is doing all the things correctly. I guess they have to do in order to win games, but I don't think that they have what it takes to compete for the Super Bowl, which the top 4 teams need to do. So there's my opinion on Pittsburgh. Washington over Dallas equals sad face. I literally wrote that in my notes because Dallas scored 3 whole points. They got stomped by a team with no name. And we're going to move on. The Bills beat the Jets and didn't score a touchdown the entire game. It's like when you're playing Madden with your little brother So you just start kicking field goals when you pass the 30-yard line. You don't even try to like score touchdowns because you're just dogging him. It's like that basically. They had 6 field goals and they beat the Jets. The Jets scored the only touchdown of the game, and they still lost. That's just dumpster fire for you. And Adam Gase needs to be fired. Please, Adam Gase needs to be fired. The Raiders fall apart against Tampa Bay. I think after Brady dropped that dime to Scotty Miller in the back of the end zone, that just shifted all the momentum. The Raiders couldn't get it going on offense. The defense was making great plays. I think Antoine Winfield Jr. had a pick. He ran that back for a little bit. And, yeah, the Raiders just fell apart late in the game, and that's so upsetting because I really thought the Raiders were going to have a chance to win this game. And they didn't. They lost by a lot. They lost by double their score over that. And that's terrible. Tom is like Nick Fury. He's assembling the Avengers because he has Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Leonard Fournette, and Antonio Brown now, all on offense. He has the most stacked offense, and he has Gronk, which isn't anything to be excited about. But anyway, yeah, that offense is stacked. It's the most stacked offense in football, and that used to belong to the Chiefs, and now it is not. If that defense can clean up penalties and mistakes, they're going to be the best team in the league, which sucks if you don't like Tom Brady. The Chiefs killed the Broncos, and Mahomes didn't even try. Didn't get over 200 yards passing, only had 1 touchdown pass, both season lows, didn't try at all. And the Chiefs still dominated versus the Broncos. That's what great teams are supposed to do. They're supposed to dominate versus bad teams, and the Chiefs did it without trying, pretty much. The Browns and Bengals game was so confusing because that's great. That's great because he just stood on the thing and showed me his bare ass. That's awesome. That's great. That's why, bro. Just why?
Like, girl, what?
Just why? I don't even know. What was I? The Browns are confusing because they're really great versus bad teams, even though they played terrible. But Baker Mayfield, after the first quarter, was a god. He had 1 incompletion and 5 touchdowns. So he's my favorite player. He's the most polarizing player in football. And OBJ got injured on the pick return. So that sucks. He's out for the year with an ACL tear. Prayers out to him. But the Browns are confusing. Defense, the front seven's great. Back 4 is not. The offense is supposed to be great. Sometimes they play like it. Most times they don't. The Bengals are going to get better. Like I keep saying every week, they're going to keep taking these little losses. But eventually in the long run, it'll work out because they're going to have a great offense because they have Joe Burrow. And somebody said earlier this week that Justin Herbert is overtaking Joe Burrow for like number 1 in the offensive rookie of the year voting. And like that's ridiculous because Joe Burrow, the Bengals were the worst team in the league last year, and Joe Burrow has made them one of the most exciting teams in football. So I don't know I guess we're riding hype trains, but let's not forget why he went number 1. The Falcons score a go-ahead touchdown to lose to Detroit. They were down, I think they were down 16-14, and then Todd Gurley fell into the end zone trying to fall on the 1-yard line so they could just kick a field goal and win. Because with 40 seconds left on the clock, the defense went back out onto the field, and Matthew Stafford threw all over their faces, and they scored a touchdown to win the game. So they knew they couldn't rely on their defense to hold them. So instead of just running the clock and kicking a field goal, they scored a touchdown, gave the Lions the ball with the most possible amount of time, and the Lions made them pay for it. That's the Lions. The Falcons are done. Julio's out of there. Matt Ryan's out of there. They're going to get a new head coach. They're going to get a new GM. I don't think the interims are going to keep their jobs because at the end of the day, The Falcons make too many mistakes to win football games, and that starts at the top. So the Falcons are going to blow up that entire organization. I think I saw the owner at the Falcons game just looking so disappointed because they did this versus Detroit. Anyway, we talked about it earlier, but Arizona shined versus Seattle. I think they proved a lot of stuff. Kyler really had a great game. I think he's one of the most underrated young quarterbacks in the league. He's going to be a stud. He's going to be Russell Wilson 2.0, just not right now. Russ is still going to rust. Russ didn't rust this week, but still balled out. Had almost 500 yards and 3 touchdowns. He just had the 2 picks. DK Metcalf ran Buda Baker down like a cheetah. I need a DK versus Tyreek 100-yard dash too. I saw that on Instagram today. I think the Checkdown posted it. But yeah, I need that because that would be interesting. I saw DK basically run like a robot to chase this man down. And it saved a touchdown. They still lost the game. Great game. Chicago's offense is a liability because their offensive line can't block. I know they had to play Aaron Donald, but like their offensive line can't block anybody, which is depressing. The Rams dominated a great defense in Chicago. I understand Chicago's defense was on the field a lot. They got really tired, but the Rams still did their job and scored a pretty good amount of points on one of the better defenses in the league. So we're gonna go upcoming NFL. This is week 8. That's gross. We got the Rams at Dolphins. I'm gonna go Miami in this one. I trust my head coach. I trust the process. I hate to sound like a Philly fan, but Philly, the 76ers. But I really do. I trust Brian Flores, and I don't trust the Rams. I think they're inconsistent. I think they just balled out. I think they're gonna take us lightly, and I think we're gonna stomp them. I think we're gonna prove something. We got Atlanta at Carolina. No brainer. This is going to Carolina. Minnesota at Green Bay. Green Bay dominated last time. They're going to dominate this time. Pittsburgh at Baltimore. I got Pittsburgh staying undefeated just because that run defense is great. And when Baltimore can't run the ball, they are a liability. New England at Buffalo. I think New England's going to clean it up because, like I said, they didn't score a touchdown versus the Jets. New England's better. So, I mean, just logically speaking, I just have a gut feeling about New England this week. We got New Orleans versus Chicago. I have Chicago easy. Not easy, but I have Chicago winning. Philly versus Dallas. I have Philly reclaiming atop the NFC East. I got Kansas City beating the Jets handily. That's my lock for the week again. Indianapolis is going to beat Detroit, but Detroit might win because Detroit's Detroit. Las Vegas versus Cleveland. I think Las Vegas has something to prove. They're going to stomp all over Cleveland. Tennessee versus Cincy. Cincy's going to play hard, but Tennessee is the better team, and I think better teams win football games in the NFL. So I'm going to go Tennessee over Cincy. Then I got the Chargers at Denver. I think Justin Herbert, like I said, I think he's in my flavor for 5. He is, but he's gonna dominate Denver. I think he's gonna do whatever he wants against that Denver defense, and the Chargers are gonna win this game handedly. Now we got San Francisco versus Seattle. I got Seattle winning in a nail biter. San Francisco getting healthier. Jimmy G's starting to find his confidence again, but Seattle's coming off an embarrassing loss. Russell Wilson's coming off an embarrassing performance, and I think that's gonna pay off, and they're gonna win. Then Monday night, it's Tampa Bay versus the Giants. The Giants are not very good at scoring points. Tampa Bay's defense is really good. I don't think New York scores a lot of points. I think Tampa's going to dominate. I think the first 18 minutes of this game will be close, and then after that, Tampa's going to start pulling away. I got it 48-17 for a total of 65. I don't know if that's under, but it's probably under. It's probably over, to be honest, but got a 48-17, Tampa Bay. Here are my top 10 NFL teams. This week was hard because I feel like a lot of teams had hiccups, and I don't want to trust hiccups. But here we go. At 10, I got Buffalo because they cannot score a lot of points. And then I got 9, Arizona I think I had them in there last week at 9. I think they stay consistent at 9 with that W. At 8, I got Baltimore dropping. They just aren't impressing me the way that they should. They don't look like a contender to me this year, and that's why they're so low. I got the Rams at 7, Tennessee at 6, Pittsburgh at 5, but I think the way that second half played out, I think Tennessee proved that they're the better team. They just couldn't get the dub, and if I'm going to do it to the Rams, I'm going to do it to everybody. Tennessee over Pittsburgh. Or Pittsburgh over Tennessee. Tampa Bay at number 4. Then I got Seattle at 3. Even though they had that hiccup versus Arizona, they're still 5-1. I got Seattle at 3, Green Bay at 2, and Kansas City at 1. I don't think anybody's beating Kansas City for a long time. The Raiders had a great performance, but Kansas City is going to win games all the time. Now on to the UFC. So we're going to recap UFC 254. We're going to get right into it. Khabib absolutely dominated Justin Gaethje. I expected Gaethje to go in there and have somewhat of a defensive wrestling game plan and land bombs. He was running backwards so much he couldn't plant his feet to strike effectively. Hit him with a couple good shots, but Khabib just does what he does, and he made it look easier than he's ever made it look. And now we know why, because it was his last, no matter what, it's his last fight. He promised his mom that since his dad died, this was going to be his last fight, because he said it, there's no way I'm doing this again without my father. And I understand because they had that great relationship, but Khabib goes out 29-0, undefeated, undisputed lightweight champ. We're never going to see him fight Tony Ferguson, but I think this is honorable, and I actually believe Khabib when he says he's retired. The UFC is losing a real one, but number 2 all time, in my opinion. Let's move on. Whitaker outstrikes Cannonier. Cannonier is a killer, and Whitaker outstruck him, landed the more effective shots, and in the 3rd round, knocked him down with a head kick. Not really. He got the head kick, stunned him with the head kick, and then followed up with strikes to get the knockdown. But the head kick, like, Cannonier's dusting people, and Whitaker went in there knowing he's the better fighter, and he just dominated. Whitaker proved that it's not about how well you can do one thing. It's how well-rounded are you. And I think that's great. We're going to watch the Braves and Dodgers game because if the Dodgers win tonight, they win the World Series. And they're clapping right now. Uh-oh. Dodgers tie this thing up on an errant pitch. That's terrible. That's terrible work by the catcher. I don't want to put it on him, though. Bad pitch. But, yeah, he's going to go straight home. He's going to walk right in. That's terrible. Anyway. Yeah, Whitaker knocked him down in round 3. I think Whitaker might get that rematch versus Izzy that he wants so bad. I think he needs one more because nobody's really trying to watch that. He's safe. And he got a runner. And the Dodgers in the bottom of the 6th scored 2 unanswered with 1 out. And somebody's on first. The Dodgers are looking to close out this series early. Volkov KOs Harris, stunned him with a lot of right hands, and then it was a front kick to the liver that really did its work because Harris just doubled over in pain immediately, took a couple big shots. But Harris is on a 2-fight skid now. Volkov's, I think, on a 2-fight win streak. Volkov's going to move on, keep doing what he's doing, losing to the top contenders as always. But great performance by both men. So Magomed KO'd Ion Kudaleba, sorry. So he hit him with a left straight, dropped him on a spin attack. So Kudaleba did a spin, got hit with a left straight, fell, pops up after a little bit, and then gets hit with an uppercut. Like folds, knees bend, folds back on the floor, and then Magomed just rained down punches to get the clean KO victory. I predicted Kudaleba to get the knockout, and it did not go that way at all. Magomed's the real deal. Kudaleba needs to figure some stuff out. Stefan Struve got KO'd by Tai Tuivasa. It was an uppercut after he was already rocked due to a couple good barrages, but an uppercut really slept him. And it Struve's this 1-1 fighter where he wins one, loses one, wins one, loses one. I'm not really worried about him. Tuivasa's more, he needs the experience more than Struve does, so this was a good fight for his confidence. I think he was on a skid there for a little bit. He wanted to get back, and now he's got 2 in a row. And I think he's going to be on the incline. So Cowboy Oliveira got subbed by Shavkat Rakhmonov. I want to say that right. He got subbed by a guillotine. This guy's from Kazakhstan. I think he's the only Kazakhstanian, fighter on the roster. That kid's a stud. He made Cowboy Oliveira look like a rookie, and Cowboy Oliveira has been in some wars with some great fighters. So I think that guy, he's on the path he needs to be on. And it's 2 outs. I think Anderson's struggling right now. But yeah. Let's move on to the upcoming UFC card. It's Hall versus Silva. So we got Uriah Hall, power puncher, fights like he's in Mortal Kombat type, or like a Street Fighter type guy, versus Anderson Silva. Everybody knows Anderson Silva was the GOAT for a really long time. I honestly have Hall by KO. I think Uriah Hall's way too explosive. I think he lands hard shots. Silva's not ready for them. Silva's too old to be fighting these killers at 185. I think he's going to retire after this fight. If he doesn't, it's a shame. Andre Fili fights Bryce Mitchell. Honestly, this is anybody's fight. I think, though, Bryce and his grappling are kind of the X factor. Bryce has pulled off a twister submission, and then in his last fight, he had 3 twister attempts. So that guy's just a wizard on the ground. And if I had to pick, I'd go Bryce Mitchell by submission. Kevin Holland versus Makhmud Muradov. Kevin Holland's a great prospect at 185. Last time, he won the first 2 rounds handily, but in the third got dominated by some wrestling. And he admitted that if this was a 5-round championship fight, he would have lost. And that's a fighter who has perspective. That's a fighter that's looking to get better. And we love that. So I'm a fan. I'm gonna go Holland by KO because I don't know the other guy, but I'm gonna go Holland by KO. The whole card, top to bottom, is really good. Once you get to like the middle of the prelims, we got some names on this card. So I got Holland by KO. Then we got Maurice Green versus Greg Hardy. Maurice Green is a tough alum who's called the crochet boss because when he's not training, his favorite activity is crochet with the sticks. I think that's pretty cool. He's a real question mark. I think he's 2-1 in the UFC right now. He has needed some work, but in his last fight, he looked like he was improving. So I think that's good. But Greg Hardy has this unreal power. But when I watch him fight, he fights like he's never done this before. It's not his natural sport. We know it's not his natural sport. He used to play in the NFL, but it doesn't look like he's been there. Like versus Volkov on that last second replacement, I get that it's Volkov, but like he looked like he was just a random guy fighting a fighter. And he's very awkward to watch, but he's got great power, and this is honestly anybody's fight as well. But I'm going to go Hardy. Something about this fight is telling me Hardy. Bobby Green versus Thiago Moises. Bobby's on a 3-fight win streak. He had a fight of the night 2 fights ago, but dominated in his last fight. He's been great. He's talked about improvement, self-improvement, and how he wants to go in his career and how he feels like he's on the right track. So I'm really loving what he's got to say. I'm really loving what he's doing in the octagon as a result of what he's saying. So I like Bobby Green, even though Thiago is a contender series guy. He's 2-2 in the UFC. Nothing really exciting right now. I think he's learning how MMA works because he's a jiu-jitsu dude. And yeah, Bobby Green. I got Bobby Green. So we got Chris Gritzmacher versus Alexander Hernandez. So Chris is a tough alum from the McGregor-Faber season. He's been in the UFC a long time. Hernandez has looked, to me at least, he's been fighting lesser competition since the Cowboy fight. And it looks like he's just regressing. Like, I thought he lost his last 2 fights, even though he got the decision on both of them. I'm not high on Alex Hernandez. So I'm going to go Chris Gritzmacher because he has the experience. And I feel like Alex Hernandez still needs to figure some stuff out. And we are on to the Flavorful 5. So in last week's Flavorful 5, I think I went 1-4. Yeah, I went 1-4. I'm not very good at the Flavorful 5. I'm going to keep it a buck with you guys. But in this week's Flavorful 5, I got Hall is going to KO Anderson Silva for the biggest moment of his career. There's going to be a lot of eyes on this fight. He's going to shine, put his name into that top 10 discussion. Then I got Miami shutting down the Rams for a big W. That's just how I feel. New England's going to upset Buffalo in Buffalo. And then the Pittsburgh run defense shuts down Baltimore's run game to get a big W and stay undefeated. But my favorite one is Justin Herbert's going to throw for 5 touchdowns versus Denver and prove to everybody that he's a franchise-level elite quarterback. Now, I know we didn't have him here, but I'm still going to thank the Raw DJs, Carlos and Mark, who are usually here with me every single week. Love everybody. Don't hate. Thank you to my annoying family who helped me set up and did a whole lot of stuff, but also did some weird stuff behind the scenes. And if somebody just wants to cut that out, it's over. Woo!